Hey everyone, welcome to Big Flick Energy. Recently, a merger between Warner Brothers and Discovery took place, which led to a new company called Warner Bros. Discovery. So this new company has been talking about what their plans are with DC, and they say that they want to make it a larger universe that everything feels more connected, but they also want to do some more projects like The Joker, which was extremely successful. That it was a rated R film that made $1 billion, which is super rare. So something else that they mentioned is they want to have their own Kevin Feige figure, who's the head of the MCU, and they want to be able to have one person at the head that can run the financials, and to also be able to understand how to connect this entire universe. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about who I think should be the Kevin Feige of the DCEU. The first person I want to bring up is David Heyman. He was one of the top producers on the Harry Potter franchise, which means that he can adapt a full film franchise and keep excitement of it high, which actually grossed about $7.7 billion from the 8 films combined. He's also 60 years old, which means that while he is getting up there in age, he has had a lot of experience, and he still does have some time to run a universe. He also knows how to change the tone of the films based on ages of kids, as seen for the first couple of Harry Potter films being more kid-friendly, and then the last few ones becoming more mature. So it shows that he has a good way of adapting tones based on characters and not just keeping everything a similar rating like Marvel has done in the past. Now I know Marvel has been changing a little bit lately with Moon Knight being very different from what they're going to do with Miss Marvel, so those are going to be extremely different shows, but still in the past Marvel has had that issue where they don't really have tonal differences, and I think a guy like David Heyman could actually do that very well. Now, he's also done some other projects like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Paddington, and Marriage Story, which shows that he's open to different types of films like dramas, but also fantasy action films. The next person I want to talk about is Nina Jacobson. One of the franchises that she's already dealt with is the Hunger Games franchise, which shows that she can adapt a full franchise based on a novelization from another area, and that she's able to gross a lot of money from it, considering those 4 films combined grossed $2.5 billion. She's also solid at casting. I would say she's not as good as David Heyman was with the Harry Potter franchise, but she is pretty good. She's also been able to adapt projects like Crazy Rich Asians, which is a different type of story. And one thing that she said, which I find to be incredible, is that she mentioned as a producer, anytime I'm not in production, it makes me nuts. So for DC, which is a massive franchise, it's going to need shows, it's going to need movies. They even said they want this person to be able to help with the video game section. So for her to say that, it shows that she wants to take on a massive workload, which she will definitely have with DC. So if she's willing to do that, I am definitely willing to have her in this position. The next group of people I want to bring up are Broderick Johnson and Andrew Kosove, who helmed the Blade Runner franchise. So these two people work together very often, and the Blade Runner franchise is probably their biggest one as of now. So they've been able to help kickstart this film franchise, along with it now having an animated show with a live action show in the works. WBD wants somebody who can handle not just the films, but other facets as well, which this duo seems to have down. Given there are 2 of them as well, they can spread out the workload where maybe one handles most of the larger universe, and the other handles most of the other projects like isolated films. Another project that they've worked on is The Blind Side, which is just a great individual story. It doesn't need more, it doesn't need less. It was just an incredibly told story, which shows that they can handle these individual stories very well. Now, the next person I want to talk about is Jordan Peele, which is a bit of an odd choice since he's more of a director than he is a producer, but he has produced some films like the recent Candyman soft reboot. So I actually think that he could be great for this role, given he's just 43 years old, so he has a ton of time to work on it. He sort of has this 5-movie plan going on for these horror films, starting with Get Out, and then Us, and then the movie Nope, which is coming out this year, and then he has 2 more films after that. Once he's done with that, he'll have all the time in the world to work on this franchise of DC. He's also great at adapting original content, like I mentioned, his movie Get Out. Wow, I love that film. I also love the movie Us. I can't wait for Nope to come out this year. And through Get Out, you can see how great he is at casting roles. I didn't know like 95% of the actors in that film until I watched that film. And honestly, That film is sort of what gave Daniel Kaluuya his breakout, which led to him actually being brought in by Kevin Feige to the Black Panther. Something else his horror films have shown us is that he's not afraid to go the rated R route. We've seen with DC recently having a lot more success with rated R films like Zack Snyder's Justice League, Joker, The Suicide Squad, Peacemaker. And I guess you can say The Batman was not rated R, but it was a very dark PG-13 movie, which is closer on the side of what we would see if Peele comes in. So I think just looking at that, you see that if DC wants somebody that can continue the success of films like The Joker, I think that he would actually be a great choice. Something else that he's been able to do is that he's great with comedy and thriller genres, which are two subsidiary genres that fit well in the superhero world, where obviously Marvel is huge on the comedy area, but then you also have some films like Doctor Strange the Multiverse of Madness, which are going to go the thriller route, the Batman, which went the thriller route, Joker, which went the thriller route. Jordan Peele being able to adapt these different tones into films. Like, I think in the movie Us, he had a great comedy, even though it was not supposed to be a comedic movie. I think that he can tie in a lot of these different things very well in the future of this universe. Something else that he's been able to work on is a reboot of the show The Twilight Zone, which, although not marketed well, it's made by Jordan Peele and turned out to be pretty good and unique. So it shows that he not only has some experience in the film realm, but also in the TV show realm, which is something that DC is definitely looking for. Now, the last person I want to talk about is Dan Lin. He's only 41 years old, which means that he's the youngest out of the bunch, but he actually is kind of the most experienced in terms of the film franchises that he's worked with. Not only has he worked with Sherlock Holmes, with Robert Downey Jr., but he's also helmed the Lego Movie franchise and the It franchise. So he's helped create 3 franchises where 2 were based on novelizations and 1 was based on toys, and all 3 franchises became extremely successful, with each having had spin-offs in the past, with the Lego Movie having Lego Batman, which is actually a DC property, so he has some experience with them, and with Lego Ninjago, or planned spin-offs in the near future, which for Sherlock Holmes, you have 2 planned spin-off shows, and for It, you have a planned prequel show. All 3 franchises are very different tonally, which show this producer has range in the types of films he is willing to work with. Now, one thing that I do think should be brought up with him was that he caused a writer's strike in an unreleased old Justice League film due to not being cooperative enough. This definitely sounds like a red flag, but it is something that he admitted to being his fault and declared he would fix, which he obviously did given the success of his 3 newer franchises. So while it is a bad sign, you can also just say he was young and he learned from his mistakes, and now that he's learned from them, it shows that even though it failed, DC still brought him back to work with them for the Lego Batman movie. These 5 individuals, I genuinely think, based on being able to create an entire universe and being able to create these isolated projects that they can all feel very tonally different, I think the best choice is Dan Lin. Like I mentioned, he's the youngest one. He already has some experience working with DC, and to be able to create such different projects where some can be R-rated, some can be PG-13, some can be kid-friendly. To have somebody like that that can create all these projects, I definitely think he is the best one, and he would be able to handle the new DC Extended Universe the best. So, please let me know who you guys think would be the best choice down in the comment section below. I can't wait to hear you guys think it should be, if it's one of these 5, if it's somebody else. Who knows, maybe DC buys out Kevin Feige, that would be insane, but it's probably not going to happen. So, just let me know who you guys think it should be. Thank you all for watching this video. Please like and subscribe, and push the bell notification to watch more of my videos. Thank you so much, and see you next time on Big Flick Energy.